What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Channel 8 podcast. I'm your host, Sean Go, and today, the day that I'm recording this, it is October 3rd, which means my favorite season of the year has kicked off. Fall, that means hoodie season. That means I don't have to go out and sweat when I'm walking around. So today's episode is just going to be a solo episode. So you guys are just going to have to listen to me talk for like half an hour. But anyways, kicking off the show, on feet this week, I wore the Collegium Pillar Destroyer High in the Avio Blue Suede colorway. So another shout out goes out to Nick from Collegium. Amazing stuff. If you haven't heard of them yet, be sure to check them out. I also wore the Starfish Air Jordan 1 Low. Honestly, I didn't think I would love these as much as I do, but they're just so easy to wear. Low tops, I've grown to really appreciate over the last few years. I used to be much more of a strictly high cut Air Jordan kind of guy, but lows is just a lot more comfortable. You don't have that collar restricting your ankle. And then, just all in all, just a very solid pair. Quality was on point. And I don't think the resale prices are that high. So if you guys struck out at retail and you're looking to pick these up for a reasonable price, I think they're pretty available and should be obtainable. Aside from that, I wore the Air Jordan 3 Racer Blue, which, let me tell you guys, this is probably one of the most underrated Jordans to release this year. It's basically the blue version of the Fire Red 3s. I thought the quality was pretty good. And aside from like the elephant print, which was all kind of messy and ugly because they tried to make it all 3M and stuff, but I think I can overlook that. And the overall colorway for this shoe, super clean. Love that pair. And the last shoe I wore was the Yeezy Foam Runner in the cream clay mix colorway. I don't know how I feel about those. I got them through a trade, actually. I traded an extra Yeezy slide that I had, and I got this colorway. I think I prefer the ochre one. It's a bit more wearable, but I don't know. I guess if you're going to go with an ugly shoe, might as well go full ugly and embrace it and wear like the, what my wife calls, it looks like you stepped in mud pair. In terms of sneaker pickups, so I picked up I bought these a few weeks ago, but they finally arrived to me. I got the Social Status Dunk Mid Free Lunch in the chocolate milk colorway, and I just posted my review on that on my channel. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, youtube.com/SeanGo, be sure to check that out. Aside from that, I picked up the, like I said, the Yeezy Foam Runners. I picked up the Air Jordan 1 prototypes. I also put up a review on that a couple days ago. That pair, kind of on the fence. The colorway is nice. I kind of dig it. I just don't love the materials. It's kind of lacking and the quality wasn't the best. So I'm still sitting on the fence of what I want to do with my pair. And the last pair I picked up was the New Balance 992, style code M992TB, which I think stands for teal and blue. I'm going to put up a picture of that shoe on the video version of this podcast. But just a really nice, underrated GR 992, which has been slowly trickling into our Canadian shops. Be sure to check that out. I think it's really, really nice. So there's no main topic that I want to talk to you guys about today, but I figured it'd be a good opportunity to just have like a Q&A session. So I posted on both YouTube and on my Instagram like a question box. So if anyone had any questions they wanted me to answer on this podcast, I opened it up to you guys to ask me anything. So got my phone with me. Let me pull up IG and start firing away with these questions. And I actually got a lot of responses, so I don't know, I guess time permitting, I'll see how many I can get through. I'll try to get through as many as I can without making it too dragged out and too long. So yeah, let's get into it. So first question is brought to you by, on Instagram, Antonio Maluca, and he asks, what brought you to the sneaker scene? I don't know, that's kind of a very vague question. If you're asking what sneaker or what brought me into sneakers in general, I'd have to say it was Michael Jordan. Growing up watching the Bulls in the 90s, Jordan was my hero, right? He was the guy, he was the man, he was the GOAT, and his sneakers, like that was probably the closest way that I could connect with him in a way. So the first shoe I ever got was from my aunt's boyfriend. He gave me his pair of the OG Playoff 12s. And I've mentioned this before in past podcasts, but I on-DS'd them and I wore them for my elementary school basketball tournament. And since then, like I've always had like an appreciation for sneakers. But it wasn't until I started working and making my own money in like late high school and early university that I started buying my own shoes and growing my collection from there. Second question is from fab._.io. And they ask, what's your first memories about sneakers? If we're talking from a general sense, so I grew up in a family where we would never really spend a ton of money on sneakers. Like we didn't buy Nikes generally, and we just got whatever was on sale at like our local sports authority or national sports or whatever it was called back in the day. So my first memories about sneakers would probably be going into like I don't remember what mall it was, but it was like an Asian mall, like a Chinese mall, probably up in Markham, Ontario, which is, for those that don't know, it's just the city north of Toronto, the suburbs. And I'm pretty sure I got a pair of sneakers there when I was probably 5 or 6. It was just one of those no name, probably like $15-$20 from a Chinese shop. And the reason why I remember that, I don't know, really random reasons, but I wore them to school and they had this like circular design on the side. And I used to tell my friends, like, if I push this button, I become like super fast and I get super speed from it and I can jump really high and all that stuff. So really random, but that's my first memory of sneakers. Next question, Sunny T80 from Instagram. What's the percentage of shoes you review are bought resale versus retail versus gifted? I want to say 50%, 50%. So about half the stuff I review, I pay resale for, maybe a little bit more. Could be like 50 to 60%. And then maybe 30% I pay retail for, or 30 to 40% I pay retail for. And then I'd say like 5 to 10% are gifted from brands. That's probably the makeup. I feel like the more my channel has grown, I've had to pay resale for a lot of pairs just because, these are pairs that are pretty important releases. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to my take and my review on these shoes. So that's why I do it. But when I started out this channel, it was 100% retail. And then it slowly, shifted to become much more of a resale dominated channel. Unfortunately, that's just how the game goes. If you want to stay relevant and create content, you gotta like pay the price. Next question is jam_ESZ. And they ask, what's the sneaker that got you in the game and did you get it? So if you don't count the Air Jordan 12 playoffs that my aunt's boyfriend gifted to me when I was a kid, it would have to be the Air Jordan 21. So that original white, black, and red colorway. I was probably around like 17, around that age when those dropped. And yeah, I don't know what it was. I just loved the design of that shoe. I loved how you can have like the interchangeable pods on the heel. That was like mind blowing to me. And yeah, I don't remember the retail price. It's probably like $260 or something ridiculously high for its time. But I did get that shoe. My mom, that was the first Air Jordan my mom ever bought me. I think that was probably for my birthday or Christmas or something like that. But yeah, so I guess you could say she really kickstarted, or she opened the floodgates for my collection, as much as she probably doesn't want to admit that. So next question, this is coming from Dale Tubot on Instagram. Do you keep all the pairs you review? And the answer to that, honestly, is no. And it's just not because I don't want to. Like in a perfect world, everything I buy and review that I love, I would keep. But the reality is it's very expensive paying resale for over 50% of the stuff you review. And you got to recoup your money somehow, stuff I don't absolutely love, I'll just let go. And I try to do like a 1 in, 1 out sort of thing. So if I buy 3 pairs in this week, I'll try to let go of 3 pairs from my collection. it's usually about like a 3-2 or 2-1 ratio where I'll get two in and I'll let one go, or I'll get three pairs in and I'll let it go of two. But I'm trying to, have a reasonable amount in my collection without being just covered in pairs. I don't want over 1,000 pairs of shoes. I think that's a little bit too much. But so long story short, no, I don't keep all the pairs I review. Next question, another one from Dale as well. He asks, what is the most disappointing release of the year? So the obvious one would be Trophy Room. I guess that's probably the most disappointing, just because of the fact that it's Marcus Jordan and could have been handled a lot better. The fact that we were even, we thought we had hope entering that raffle and having problems getting our email through and all that stuff. That was a whole fiasco that I'm glad is over with and I can put that behind me. Next question from ad_sneaks. What are some of your favorite sock brands? And I'd say that the majority of the time I just wear like your basic crew socks. Usually it's just your Nike or Adidas crew socks that I get from like the outlets. Nothing special. I do appreciate Sock Jig socks. He actually sells some decent quality stuff. So if you guys haven't heard of Sock Jig, infamous on Twitter, homie of mine. Other than that, Stance sells some good stuff. I know their socks are usually really loud and eccentric, but they do sell some more like toned down, understated stuff, which I prefer. So definitely, I'm a big fan of Stance too. The next question comes from Carson Braxmeyer or Mayer. And they ask, what's your opinion of these double, triple collabs? Is 3+ companies the future of collabs? Honestly, I don't really care if it's a collaboration with 2 parties, 3 parties, 4 parties, whatever, as long as the end result is dope. And as long as I feel like the collaboration is coming from the right place. So let's say tomorrow, Supreme, Kith, Aimé Leon Dore, Off-White, Comme des Garçons, all these billion other brands collaborate on a dunk, for example. I'd probably be skeptical about how genuine that sort of a collaboration is versus just doing it for like the hype and making headlines. But if the end result is a really spectacular shoe or whatever they're collaborating on, then I can't really hate. Is it the future of collaborations? It might be, considering it seems like collaborations in general between 2 parties is just so commonplace, and it seems like that's just the baseline to create like a hyped sneaker. It almost seems like you need to collaborate to generate that hype in the community, which is something I'm not really a fan of, but it just seems like that's the reality. So if you want to create even more hype, the next logical step would be a collaboration between more than just 2 parties. It would be a party of 3. Next question from pro_ject56. What are my top 3 Yeezys? So my opinion on this has shifted over the years, but as of right now, I think my top 3 would be the Wave Runner 700. Aside from that, I would probably say the Turtle Dove 350 V1, and then maybe the Zebra 350 V2. I think those 3 are pretty like iconic. All 3 are very comfortable. So yeah, I'd say those are my top 3 Yeezys. Next question, and this is actually not a question, it's a comment from DJ Grumble on Instagram. Shout out to the homie. He says, not a question, but thanks for supporting my music and bringing me new fans. So I didn't even know. So I've been using DJ Grumble's music a lot of the times in my background for my reviews, and it's good to hear. I guess people have been clicking and discovering his music through my channel. So the pleasure's all mine, man. Like, your music's incredible. If you guys haven't heard of him before, he has a SoundCloud where he posts amazing beats, which is where I get a lot of my music from. So big shout out to him. Next question is from drek.yan, I guess Derek Yan, and he asks, what career path would you recommend for people in school? Oh man, this has becoming a guidance counselor time with Sean Go. But I don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer to this. So like I for those that don't know, I studied accounting and finance. got my undergrad degree and a master's degree in that as well. So I'm a CPA, but yeah, like there's really about what you want to do. For myself, like my main priority was just having like a solid foundation and having that solid base from a financial standpoint where I could live in an expensive city like Toronto and still have enough disposable income to enjoy life, to go travel, and of course to buy shoes. But that's not what everyone wants, and there's no right or wrong. Some people, I know friends of mine who have been in accounting, they've shifted over to graphic design and they're very successful in what they do. Other people didn't even go the business route. They went straight to visual arts, for example. And sometimes it was successful and sometimes it wasn't. And I feel like that's part of the journey of life. There's really, there's no one set way you need to do it, and there's no one set path. So really just find your passion, and it's just balancing pursuing what you love versus just having that stability and security to enjoy life and maybe sacrifice a bit by doing a job you don't necessarily love, but it pays you well enough that you can do other things that you love and have that financial flexibility to do whatever you want to do after your 9 to 5. Next question is from Neshpionage on IG, and they ask, what's a GR you thought was so good it could have been a collaboration? The most obvious answer, at least for recent releases, is the I should know the actual name. It was dubbed the Protection Pack, but I think it's actually not called the Protection Pack. It's called so it's called the Refined Future Pack. I think specifically the Rain Cloud colorway, but honestly, all three are super fire, and that could have easily have been a collaboration, and they could have lied to us and I would have believed it. But the fact that it's so popular and so in demand and it's technically a GR is a testament to how successful that release was. So moving on, next question is from Usman_S24, and he asked, do you use any products to protect your suede and nubuck shoes? I generally don't. I'd say nine times out of 10, I just let my shoes be, natural. I'm a bit fearful of like how the chemicals may impact the materials over time. But there are like obviously instances where I would throw on like a spray. If I know, for example, it's a shoe that I'm going to be wearing and it's going to rain and it's not necessarily an expensive pair, that I'm not too worried that the chemicals could damage the suede and nubuck. But generally, no, I don't put any protection spray on my shoes. Next question, also from that same user, Usman_S24. He asked, what's your favorite holiday and why? So the easy answer I'd say is Christmas, just because we're all together with family, it's festive, everything's happy, and just the spirit of December is just really fun. But I'd say that my favorite holiday is Halloween. I love a thrill. I love a good horror movie, and I don't do it anymore. But back when I was in university and shortly after, we'd all like dress up and go to parties and stuff. So that was always a fun time. Next question is from Timothy Leak, and he asked, what's the next sneaker hype will be? I think the 4s are the new wave. I think 4s have kind of always been popular as far as Jordan goes. 1s, 3s, 4s, to a lesser extent 5s, and 11s have generally always been really popular, at least in my opinion. In terms of next sneaker hype, if we're talking like the next dunk, I see a lot of blogs trying to push like the Air Max 1. I'm not a fan of that. Like, I love the Air Max 1. That's why I don't want them to do that. I want them to just leave it alone and let like legitimate fans of the Air Max 1 be able to cop what they want. But if I had to pick, I'd probably guess something like probably the Air Force 1. There's been so many really good GR releases of Air Forces in the past few years, and if hype starts shooting up through the roof, I could see the prices on those pairs skyrocketing as well. And then we're going to be seeing the same story of how X, Y, and Z Air Force 1 was sitting on shelves years ago. They hit the outlets. You could have grabbed them for, 50% off, and now look at them, blah, blah, blah. It's the same sort of thing over and over again. So if I had to guess, I'd say Air Force 1, but who knows? It could be the Air Max 1 too. The next question is from the homie third.millennium on IG. He takes incredible photos. If you guys haven't heard of him, check him out on Instagram. So number 3rd.millennium. And he asks, when did you know that your photos and bids could really take you somewhere professionally? And that's kind of a interesting question because I still don't really do Instagram and YouTube like full time. This is not a full time gig for me, so I don't know if you'd call me a professional. I'm still a hobbyist or an enthusiast, but the first time I knew that I could be producing something special was when Finish Line. They were the first ones to partner up with me and work with me to create like sponsored content and stuff. So that was, yeah, I'd say when that happened, I was like, wow, so I'm getting free shoes. Like that was really, really dope. It still is. But yeah, just over the years as my platform has grown, I've gotten more and more sponsorship opportunities. I've gotten more opportunities to work with a lot of major brands, and it's my platform has given me the opportunity to go to a lot of really dope places. Like I flew to New York City, been to a lot of really dope launch events and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say that's it. Next question is from azam.nyear, and they ask, what's your favorite New Balance shoe? If we're talking silhouettes, this is actually a bit of a sleeper pick, and a lot of people probably don't know this, but I think my favorite silhouette is the New Balance 999. So as of right now, it's not really the flavor of the month, and New Balance isn't really releasing any 999s lately. But that's the one that really got me into New Balance years ago. Aside from the 999, I also like the 997, the 998. But if we're talking like more current silhouettes, I'd say 2002R is definitely one of my favorites. Super comfortable pair. Next question is from Star Killer on IG, the homie. He asks, is a model or silhouette or colorway better if it's under a collaboration? If not, would you or do you feel people would still buy it? So the politically correct answer to this is technically a shoe shouldn't be better if it is a collaboration, rather than if it was just on its own as a GR from the company. But hype sells, and collaborations, like I said before, is kind of like a major driving force of hype. So I feel like a lot of people do buy shoes just because it's a collaboration. And to an extent, like I'm guilty of that. A part of me definitely will sometimes take a closer look at a release because it's a collaboration versus if it's just a pair that Nike or whoever just releases and it trickles into shops. But I think to an extent, like I'm still objective enough that I can appreciate shoes for what they are, regardless or not if they are a collaboration or if it's just a standalone release from the company. The next question I have here is from Dogbuster, and he asks, what was the first pair of shoes you remember wanting but not being able to get? This is a pretty easy answer. It was the Nike Air More Uptempo and the classic black with the white lettering. This was a pair my good friend in elementary school had. I remember distinctly. He was rocking that probably in like grade 4 or something like that, grade 3 or 4, around that time. It was just such a striking, eye-catching pair with the big bold letters Air on the side. I wanted that so bad, and had the full-length Air. But again, like I never grew up spending over $100 on sneakers, so there's no chance that I was ever going to be able to get those. But glad that they've retroed a few times over the years, and I definitely have one in my collection right now. Next question is from Icarus120284, and he asks, how many pairs of Air Jordan 1s do you have in your collection? I haven't counted or done like a proper inventory of my collection in a long time, but if I had to estimate, I'd say it's probably around maybe 50 pairs of Air Jordan 1s, somewhere around there. It's just a shot in the dark. I really have no idea, but maybe somewhere around 50 pairs. Next question is from Merkel Moman _. He asks, drill down on your camera setup, kit, and post-production. Just intrigued. So I use a couple different cameras. So to film my YouTube videos, I use my oldest camera, which is my Nikon D600. So that's the same camera I use for like the B-roll footage and stuff like that. I have 2 other cameras that I use to shoot photos. Generally, I have a D750, another Nikon, and I recently got the Sony A7 Mark III. And in terms of lenses, I'm much more of a prime lens guy. So I use mainly 50 1.4 from Sigma and Nikkor 85 1.8 these are both for Nikon. And for my Sony, I use a 35 1.8 and a 85 1.8. And in terms of post-production, so all my photos are edited on Adobe Lightroom, and then I touch it up a little bit and add watermarks on Adobe Photoshop. And my videos are on Adobe Premiere. Filters, I don't have like preset filters. Everything's kind of like edited on the fly and edited, with a fresh lens every single time. It takes a bit longer, but I just found like it gives me the most freedom and really lets my creative mind think when I'm editing photos, as opposed to just slapping on a preset filter and calling it a day. Next question is from _Sky Nguyen, and they ask, are you happy with what you have? And simple answer to that is yes. I know we get so caught up in chasing the next pair and being upset about taking your L's and stuff like that. But really, I've done a lot better job, especially in the last year, about just stepping back. And I know it's ironic given that you guys see how many pairs I have behind me, but just not to get caught up in a numbers game and just really appreciating the stuff you have. It's kind of hard to get to the shoes at the bottom, but eventually when I move this collection out and get like a proper man cave or whatever, I think you're going to see a lot more older pairs get thrown into my rotation and get the love that they deserve, because there's so many jewels in the collection, and I'm super grateful for the pairs that I have. Next question is from TH0M_yum, and they ask, do you think we'll ever go back to a time where releases and in-store will be an easy cop again? For as much as people say that the sneaker bubble is going to pop eventually and it's going to burst, I don't think it's ever going to be how it was 5-10 years ago, where it was possible to just walk into a store and buy the release the morning or the day of. I just think because when money's involved, specifically resale, and people know there's money to be made with sneakers, it changes the whole dynamic of the culture and releases. So with that said, long story short, I don't really think things will be necessarily an easy cop in store. Obviously, I'm talking about like the stuff that's desired, like the more limited stuff. I think your everyday GRs that people don't really care for, like the Air Max 2021, that's just sitting on shelves. Like obviously, if you want that, you can get that, no problem. But more hyped releases like your Air Jordan 1s and any Dunks this year, which are just almost impossible to get in store unless you're camping out or just lurking. I think it'd be hard for me to see it become an easy cop again, unless something drastic happens and a lot of people just quit the sneaker game and just figure out that the money isn't there to be made anymore. Next question is from Chris Young _, and he asks, if you had to scrap your entire collection and keep 5 to 10 pairs, which would you pick? That is very tough, because there's a separation between like things I genuinely love just for what they are versus keeping like the high value items, because if I had to, recoup money, or if I wanted to sell them and buy something else, obviously the more expensive pairs would factor into what I'm picking. But if I'm picking like just strictly out of love and not from a financial standpoint, it'd probably be things like a lot more of the OGs. So like the white cement 3s, Chicago 1s, black cement 3s, Concord 11s. Let me think, what else other than Nike? Hyannis, New Balance 999s. There's the Team Roshi, Roshi PE that we got from Nike Sportswear when I was part of Team Roshi and we visited Beaverton, Oregon. That would be like one of those priceless pairs. Aside from that, that's really tough. I'm short like 4 more pairs. I can't really think. I guess the classics like the white and red Air Max 1, infrared 90s. And I guess just for like hype's sake, I'll throw in like my Yeezy 2 Pure Platinums and maybe like an off-white Chicago or something like that, just to have some balance of classics, OGs, and some hype stuff as well. Next question is from Senpai Dascreets. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. They ask, how do you pick out a song for your videos since they always seem to match the videos perfectly? And again, this goes back to like DJ Grumble, who I mentioned earlier. A lot of really talented SoundCloud artists and DJs that I just spend a decent amount of time just, I guess you can say, researching, just Googling, finding their work, and it's like a vibe that I mess with. So I really just put songs that I appreciate and beats that I appreciate into my videos. If I don't really love their music, then I wouldn't really add it to my videos. So it's really just a lot of research on SoundCloud, and obviously they're gracious enough to let me use their songs on my videos. So kudos to them too. Next question is from Bama14, and they ask, let us know your favorite shoe and why you like that shoe. So I've mentioned this before in other podcast episodes and other podcasts in general, but my all-time favorite shoe's got to be the Air Jordan 3 White Cement. So this released like probably around the year I was born, to be honest, and I never witnessed MJ wear it live, obviously, but to me it's like the perfect shoe. It's perfectly designed. I'm a fan of white shoes over black shoes, so that's why I choose white cements over black. And it's iconic. Like, he wore it for the dunk contest. To me, it's super clean. It's very versatile, wearable with a lot of different looks. And it's just the quintessential classic Air Jordan. That's my personal favorite. And if I had to keep one pair in my entire collection, it would be the white cement threes. Now, shifting over to some of the submissions on YouTube. So first off, Tsunami1500 asked, if you had a chance to do a major sneaker collab, what brand and model would you do? I would probably pick, I'd probably do Air Max 1, I think. It'd be also cool to do like an Air Jordan 3. Those two are two of my favorite silhouettes of all time. So either of those would be really, really dope opportunity. Next question is from Volante. They ask, if you were never interested in sneakers, what kind of content would you post on YouTube, assuming you'd still make a YouTube channel even without the love of sneakers? And interestingly enough, I don't even think I would be on YouTube if it wasn't for sneakers. The reason why I did it is just because I had so much passion for sneakers, and I felt like there was a missing. There's something missing in the Canadian YouTube scene, at least. So like the type of content I produce is really geared towards the type of content that I would want to watch, which is like much more straight to the point, technical reviews about how a sneaker is, how it fits, how comfortable it is, all that stuff. I'm not really huge on watching like YouTube in general, specifically like sneaker YouTube. I don't really tune into too many other channels, not because I'm not a fan of the work. Like, they do some really good stuff. It's just at the end of the day, like when I'm interested in sneakers, it's really about to the point. Like, I just want to know the facts. I just want to know, everything I need to know. With that said, yeah, so if I wasn't into sneakers and doing a sneaker YouTube channel, I don't think I would. Well, I guess maybe I would do, back when I was really heavy into Funko Pops, maybe like Funko Pops unboxings, or maybe I talk about like comic books and Marvel movies and stuff like that. Just a lot of stuff, like a lot of geeky stuff I'm interested in and I really have a passion for. Maybe I do a channel about those things. And I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I think I've been rambling for quite a long time. So I'm going to end this off with one final question. And this is coming from Jason Zarate. And he asked, which 3 sneakers have you worn the most? You know what? If we're talking about like what in my rotation I've worn the most, I'd say it would be my black cement threes, my white cement threes, and probably a pair of like Flyknit Roshis, which I just leave by the door. Those are mad comfy, and they're just, if I need to take the trash out or whatever, I can just slip them on and rock them. But yeah, I'd say those 3 are my top 3 most worn. So anyways, I think I've been rambling on for long enough. Thank you everyone for posting your questions, and I apologize if I didn't have time to answer your question. But future episode, I'm sure if you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts about this, I'd love to post another Q&A video sometime in the future. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/SeanGo, on Twitter, which I use not too much, but I'm still there. You can find me there at sean.go spelt out, and my website, seango.ca. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. We'll be back soon with another guest in a future episode coming up. Thank you for the love and support, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.